Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to Video Game Strategies World Tank 2.0 Part 2. This is the second part of World Tank 2.0 because there is a lot to do with this game and a lot has indeed changed. Okay guys? And with that in mind, there's some things we need to go over. Now, the last time I went over strategies that make it more enjoyable. This time, I'm going to go over not strategies in the garage per se, like how to set up your tank, how to identify different armor types. The Crew 2.0 aspect you already knew, so I didn't go over that, and I'm not going to go over it again. If you want to know more about Crew 2.0, there's a video again in my video game update series called Crew 2.0 World of Tanks. You can check that out. I'm going to leave a link down below under video game updates. Check out video game updates Crew 2.0 if you want to learn more about the crew, learn more about the changes in the crews. Now, World of Tanks, the new World of Tanks, the crew did not change at all. Very little. Why? Because Crew 2.0 was a complete overhaul of the crew. They had to get it ready for this. This was the final product. If they didn't get the crew settled in, none of this would have made any sense. This had to get done. Now that it's done, and the crew is all settled in, the equipment and the consumables are all in their right place. Everything's set up. Now Crew 2.0 finally makes sense. See, at first, when they're first talking about Crew 2.0, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things that can't happen now. You know? I mean, just think about this for a minute. How is Halloween happening? How is the holiday ops gonna happen? Well, Halloween, we already know how that's gonna happen. Right there. Christmas, I thought about it real hard. I really did think about it. I thought about it so hard that I couldn't figure out the answer. But remember, this is a garage. Now, what is on the outside of a garage? All they have to do is have an open door right there. You click it, and there's the whole Christmas setup right there. That the Christmas thing, the holiday apps that you love and remember and all love still can be a reality. All they have to do is have an open garage door right there, click it, head right out into the holiday, head right out into the village. The only difference is that the tank remains in the garage. So now, instead of having a tank in the middle of the garage, they can have an entire village. They can add more to the village. They can make it more festive. You know what I mean? They can add more to holiday apps. Granted, they can do some stuff for the garage here and there. They could decorate the garage, and what they could also do is they could do the same thing to the garage. The garage is big enough, to be honest with you. I mean, look at the size of the garage. I mean, it's all fogged out because of the Halloween aspect. But the garage is ginormous. So the holiday ops could still happen. So they could have holiday ops outside of the garage. So when you click this here, it'll take you outside the garage and it's right there. Or what they could do is they could do what they did with Halloween. With as far as Halloween goes, all you have to do is click this. It takes you right to the Halloween aspect. That has not changed. The only difference is, instead of changing battle modes, like instead of going to battle modes and selecting the Halloween moment at that particular time, today it's Project Babylon, Forbidden Zone. That's this year's topic. Instead of just switching from random battle to Babylon, instead of doing that, you can now just do that. Nothing's changed. It's still the same thing. Halloween is not going to change. All these special events are not going to change. Christmas, we shall see. We're going to see what they come up with for Christmas. I have a funny feeling that it could be similar to that. A funny feeling it could be very similar. They could have like snow maybe coming down. Maybe they could have like something like this. They could have like maybe snow coming down. And maybe Santa with a sleigh flying across. Maybe they could have snow outside falling. Maybe they could have snow falling down on the windows. I don't know. Possibility. Remember, you're indoors. You're not outside. So snow is not going to happen in the garage. But there could be snow on the windows outside. And the door to the garage could be cracked open and snow blowing inside. And they could have Christmas decorations up right here. What I think might happen with holiday apps, if they don't have it outside, they could have it right here. I think holiday apps is going to happen right here. I think they're going to redecorate this to look like the same holiday village that you remember before. They could either do that, or they could do what I said and have a garage door at the end. Have a garage door at the end of the hallway here, open with snow blowing in it. Click it, and it takes you to the normal holiday apps section right outside. That is a very distinct possibility. If they don't want to change anything, they could use the exact same one they did last year, but just redo this garage here for this year. Just to get the holiday apps started. And then redo, and then leave the holiday apps from last year exactly the same. Don't change anything. Just add a new special guest. That's it. They'll save themselves some work. They could do that. Obviously, the decorating of the garage will not be extensive because not a lot of people go here. So, and not a lot of people are going to go here. You're going to see most of the decorations here. You're going to see a lot changing right here. And you're going to see a lot changing right here. So this is going to be the prime area that they have to work with right here. Which is enough. It's more than enough. Because you know what? Tanks only take up from here to there. That's it. A tank is only going to take up as deep as the bay is. So all they have to do is they can leave this part, this square from here to here alone and put the rest of this holiday stuff. So they could do it in the garage itself. Or they could do exactly what they did last year, but leave a door where you can click to go into the holiday ops. So they're left with options. By having an indoor garage, Wargaming is now left with many, many options for holiday apps. They can either have it in the garage, or they can have it like they used to have it, and just have an open door here at the end to go in it. And have some little tchotchke decorations here and there. You know, people congratulating themselves. You know, still working, but, you know, congratulating themselves. You know, maybe a little happy holidays sign up here and there. You know, stuff like that. Little tchotchkes, not big decorations in here. Just little stuff, you know what I mean? And have all the big stuff right out there. They could have small decorations. But what you could do is, you really want to make it spicy. When they reach to level like 13, everybody and their mother can reach to level 13. Everybody and their mother can reach to level stage 12 or 10, right? If you could reach to stage 10 on the current battle pass, if you're able to reach to stage 10 on battle pass, this door will open, and this door will be open. Snow will be blowing in. You'll be able to join the holiday ops outdoors. So the holiday ops will require you to at least get up to stage 9 or 10. Don't make it too hard, because then nobody's going to enjoy it. Make it just enough so that you could get in there and enjoy yourself. Of course, everybody's still gonna push to try and go for the rest. At least give everyone an opportunity to get in there. If you want them to earn it, make them get up to stage 9 or stage 10. Something that people can do in their spare time. Not everyone is retired or on disability like I am. I'm on disability, which you probably already have known by now, by the way I speak. I am unfortunately on disability for a very good reason. And I don't feel like getting into it right now, but I am currently on disability. I would be working, and I would not be making these videos if I wasn't disabled, but unfortunately I am. So I figured I may as well just kickstart this channel all over again and do something with it. So I decided to play my favorite game in the entire world. A game that I've been playing for, what, 13, 14 years? I think it's been now. I love this game more than anything. I've been playing this game for a very long time. I may not be the best player, and I know for a fact that I'm not the best player. I don't have that many kills, but I do have the most fun. I set a goal when I first started. I first started out with tier 1. I said my goal is to finish this country. If I get frustrated, I'll move on to a different country. Let's see how many times I got frustrated. I got frustrated. I moved on to US. I got frustrated. I moved up to tier 8. I got frustrated 2 times. Want to see why? I got frustrated 2 times and moved up to tier 6 on Germany. Yeah. I got frustrated twice. Then I went back. Got frustrated again. Britain was brand new. I got really excited at the fact that UK was here. So I decided to move over to UK and told USSR to go. Moved over to UK and got all the way to tier 8. And then realized, you know what? France is brand new. Maybe I should try that. So I went into France. I got all the way up to tier 5 on France, and then I stopped. I don't know why I stopped, I just stopped. Then they had Czechoslovakia. I got up to tier 6 on Czechoslovakia, then I decided to call it quits. Then I got up to Japan. I got up to tier 5. Then I decided enough's enough. Then I moved over to China. As soon as I moved over to China, I started getting into premium tanks. And when I got into premium tanks, that's when I started to get in real deep in this game. I started to realize that premium tanks have their benefits. Now, in the video game Stratagies, the first one, I went over the premium tanks and what they do and what the purpose of them is. And now you know why I got so into premium tanks, because every time you grind a tank, you lose money. But every time you grind one of these, you don't lose money right away. You have a better chance of gaining money. You have more of a chance of gaining money, especially when you use these. If you use these, it doubles and triples your chances of gaining money and experience. And you can easily transfer the experience off of any crew members or any tank that's premium by using gold. So why not buy a premium tank? Why not buy a gold tank? It's worth it. So that's when I went back to the USSR and said, you know what? God help me, I'm gonna do every single tree, and I'm gonna finish this fucking game once and for all. I completely went nuts. First, I moved over to this, and I was stuck on this tank for years. I decided I'm not moving until this is done. I got all the way to tier 10, was happy and satisfied, got to tier 10, happy. Then I realized that I used my premium tanks, my premium tanks trick. I used the trick of the premium tanks. What I did was, to get up to tier 10, I played. Let me show you a trick. The strategy is, this is a tier tank, okay? This is a tier 9 tank. This is a tank that's on the tech tree. Now, what you do is you go in here, select the country, and you have to select the tier that you want to work with. Let's say your tanks, the tanks you're grinding is at tier 9. Okay, guys? Now, all the tanks you're grinding, you want to make sure you put set them primary. Any premium tanks that have not been finished, that had not been had their let me show you. Hold on. Allow me to show you guys what I'm talking about. Rather than explaining, I'm going to show you guys. Okay, here is a premium tank. Here you go. Now, here's a premium tank with the field modifications. Okay, guys? Now, if you have your field modifications, you gotta do them. Grind your premium tanks until you get experience. When you get experience, you're gonna see this. See how it's white? Increase the standard modification level. See that? Increase. Now we're at tier 4. We're at level 4. But first, you have to choose what part you want. Now, this is a tank destroyer. Most tank destroyers do not have turrets, and their guns are much bigger than a tank can handle. And the reason why is because they're called tank destroyers. And the reason why you can't have the reason why you cannot have a turret is because the gun is too big and too heavy to have a turret. If you have a turret with a gun that big, with a tank of that size, as soon as you turn the turret sideways, the tank will tip. It'll go ass over tea kettle, and you'll be in big trouble. So, therefore, they have to create a whole structure to fit that turret in a fixed location, and just allow it to wiggle a little bit. So, therefore, tank destroyers are called tank destroyers because they have guns that are bigger. According to game mechanics, the guns are higher tier. The guns are bigger than the tier is. So in a way, that's a tier 6 tank. It has a tier 7 gun. Follow me so far? Tank destroyers always have bigger guns than the actual tier. Again, it all depends on your skill with aiming. How you aim and fire that gun. That's what makes that gun very dangerous. So, knowing what we know now, we are here to focus on hull movements, tread strength, and anything involving the gun. Okay, guys? As far as hull speed will help, because the speed also depends. Now, the hull traverse. Hull traverse is when the tank does this. So if you're going straight, that's speed. Hull traverse is when the tank has to do this. This is traversing. When the hull turns, okay? So you have to turn left. You're not going to turn the front wheels. You have no wheels. You're going to traverse the hull. Traverse the hull. Then your turbocharger kicks in and you move forward. Get me? So hull traverse speed is only good if you're going to turn. Now, considering we have no turret, we absolutely need our hull traverse speed faster. So whatever you can find out. Now, this one says -3 to aiming circle size. This one says +5 to aiming speed. Okay? Now, aiming circle size means that let's say you move, right? As soon as you move forward, aiming circle is going to get to its max size. If you move the hull, anything, that aiming circle will instantly move to its max. -3, the aiming circle size allows that circle to go get smaller faster. So that -3 makes that circle get smaller faster. Now this one here makes the circle itself start out smaller. You start the round, the circle starts out smaller. Now, if the circle starts out smaller, then you really don't have a lot. You really don't have that much longer to wait. So instead of waiting for it to go smaller, faster, it's already smaller, faster. All you have to do is wait a little bit longer for it to get smaller even further. So you don't mind waiting. It's already smaller. So in our case, because we're not in a big hurry, because tank destroyers are snipers, they're not main tanks. If this was a heavy tank, I would say aiming speed is important. If this was an artillery piece, I would say yes. Aiming speed is very important with artillery. But this is tank destroyer. Tank destroyers want aiming circles smaller. So make sure you get that. Make sure you always get that. A tank destroyer does not have a moving turret. It has to move its hull. And every time you move the hull, aiming circle gets bigger. Gets to max size every time. Why not start as the max size at the smaller why not start with the smaller max size every single time? It makes sense, right? Am I right? If you're going to have to move every single goddamn time, make sure the maximum size is smaller. So if ever come up with this again and you do not have a turret, always pick this. Because this will make the max size smaller. It will still get smaller at the same speed, but it will start out this big instead of this big. Get my drift? So instead of having to go faster, start out here and go the same speed, you're almost halfway there. Okay, that's fine. Better off with that. Why? Because you're sniping. You're not in a big hurry. These guys are snipers. They stay in the back of the battlefield, hide in a bush, carefully pick their shells, very carefully pick their shells, carefully choose their targets, aim, then fire. They do exactly the same thing as artillery does. Only thing is, they have an opportunity of having line of sight. The artillery does not have that luxury. Artillery does not have line of sight. Artillery depends on everybody else to gain line of sight. Artillery can only see people that your teammates spot. With that in mind, yeah, that kind of sucks if you think about it. It really does suck if you think about it. It does. It really does. Honestly, it really does suck if you think about it. Oh, excuse me, sorry. It really does suck if you think about it. Because, I mean, you work so hard. In all this time you play this game, and you work so hard to get all these tanks. And let's say you're in an artillery, and you've been working your butt off to try and get this artillery to go. Let's jump in a game. Let me show you guys what I mean. Ready? I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. Artillery is not an easy thing to play. You're depending on your teammates to be your eyes. And when you're playing artillery, you can't see. You're blind. The entire team is your eyes. What they see, you see. Which means that if you can't see anything, you have to get out of overhead and back into normal tank mode. And you're going to have to move your hull around and check around you because someone is going to sneak up on your ass. If you can't see anybody on the overhead, you're in big trouble. You gotta move. Or at least get out of overhead. And find a better hiding place. A better hiding place that's facing the flag. Because at least if your hull is facing the flag, you'll be able to stop, not move, go back in overhead, and spot somebody, get out of overhead, spot someone, go back in overhead, carefully take your shot, don't move the hull at all. Take your shot, he took damage, again, don't move the hull, stay put. Absolutely, positively, no moving at all whatsoever. Make sure your camouflage skill is 100% on every single crew member that you have in your tank. 100% camo. Make sure. Double, triple check. Another thing. Make sure you have your gun rammer. I have the pirated gun rammer. You know, I forgot what it was called. They had them for a short amount of time. I decided to slap it on here, so to speak. I forgot what it's called. They call it innovative gun rammer, but improved. They're improved. They have standard bounty equipment, which is very hard to get your hands on. I think the only way to get the only way to get a hold of bounty equipment is from the battle pass. If you improve in the battle pass and get far in the battle pass, they will give you bounty equipment. Bounty equipment is very, very good. Improved equipment is better than bounty equipment. Improved equipment is absolutely insane. It gives you a 13.5% reload time. The standard gives you 11.5%. Now, the experimental, if you have an experimental gun rammer, it's going to have its special stats listed. I don't have an experimental gun rammer. I have an experimental turbocharger. The reason why is because I have mine on, because I have an experimental level 3 on my TOG. I have an experimental level 3 on my M48 Rum Panzer. And I have an experimental level 3 on another tank. Why? Because those tanks are premium tanks. Premium tanks do not have an option of getting an engine upgrade. So speed, they don't have. The TOG and the M48 Rum Panzer. M48 Rum Panzer is a medium. It has the speed of a TOG. Just so you know, it's slow as balls. Now mine is the speed of a medium. A speed that a medium should be. It's a slow medium, but it's a medium nonetheless. It's a medium with a standard engine. At least got it up to that speed. Now the TOG, instead of at crawl speed, I have the TOG moving at least, God in heaven, not breakneck speed, but at least the speed of a heavy. I can keep up with an IS-7, I'll tell you that. My TOG is able to keep up with an IS-7. It's not bad, but it's not good either. So, let's see if we can find it. Come on. Come on, big guy. Show your face. Come on, where are you? I'll show you the TOG. Let's see what we can see. There we go. Now, stats. Okay, standard speed is here. I improved the speed by that much. This TOG's top speed increased to 223. It's now its top speed is 223. its standard speed. A standard heavy is about that speed. This is the reason why the TOG 2 was at crawl speed every single time, because it had this least amount of power. The engine was not able to keep up with it. This engine right here is only 600 horsepower. That's not a lot. 600 horsepower for this gigantic behemoth. Come on, guys. 600 horsepower. Think about this for a minute. Think really hard. Let's say you have, okay, ready? I'm going to show you guys something for an example. As an example, this thing is gigantic, right? This thing is huge. To give you an idea on how big it is, let's look at something. It takes up the entire bay. The place to do oil changes, it's almost completely covered. There's the front of the tank right there. It's huge. Now, let's check out an IS-7. I'm dead curious. I want to check out the IS-7. Now I want to see an IS-7. IS-7 is a tier 10 behemoth. Now this is a tier 10. IS-7 is shorter. It's wider, yes, but the tank is shorter. Majority of the tier tanks are wider, and sometimes they're taller, but it's shorter. And it is kind of tall. So I mean, it may look like a big tank, but compare it, to be honest with you, compare it to a TOG, I guarantee you, you're going to see the big difference. The TOG is twice the size, which means it's twice the weight, which means they need twice the engine size, correct? I don't think so. IS-7, you ready? Check this out. Engine on a TOG 2 with 600 horsepower. Ready for this? You're gonna love this. Come on. 1,200 horsepower. 1,200 horsepower is more than enough. There's more than enough horsepower to charge that behemoth forward. Now let's see what kind of horsepower 600 can actually toke around. Let's go around the tech tree and see. Let's try and check the tech tree and see which heavies out of the British tanks. Let's see what British tank has a 600 horsepower engine. So let's check the tier 5s maybe. Let's check the original Churchill. Okay, now let's check it. Now let's check its modules. Now let's go to its engine. Okay, 380. So engine's not that small. So that was tier 5. Okay, let's check this one. Bingo. We got our winner. This is a Tier 7 heavy Black Prince engine. It may not be the same engine, but the horsepower is exactly the same. Now, the Black Prince with this engine can barely move. I own this tank. Well, I don't know if I still do, but I do own this tank. I hated this engine in this tank because the Black Prince moved so damn slow. I couldn't stand it. The engine was not big enough for this tank. Far too small. I upgraded it as soon as I could. And I upgraded to an extra 50 pounds for extra 50 horsepower. It's only 50, but it made a big difference. That 50 extra horsepower made a big difference. Especially the fact that I'm adding more weight to it. I'm adding a gun with more shells and some more durable tracks. So we had to put a bigger engine because we're now adding more weight to an already slow tank. So it had to, instead of going slower, it got a little faster. So sometimes all you need is a bigger engine so you don't. For me, I got the bigger engine so I can get the bigger equipment. I had to get this in order to get the bigger gun. Because when you have a Tech Tree tank, there's certain things you have to get. The first thing you always get is your treads. Why? The treads are the thing that holds the tank in place. If you have small treads are weaker, which means that they go faster. Weaker treads can go faster, but weaker treads also mean you can't hold that much weight. And they break 3 times faster. Have you ever took a shot at a light tank's? Have you ever taken a shot at a light tank's treads? They fly off. Even the splash damage causes the light tank's treads to blow off. It is so goddamn easy to track a light tank. It's so easy. Why? Because their treads are so small and so thin. And the suspension system is so small and so thin. All you need is blast damage. It'll blow the track. That's it. All you need is a blast damage shot. Not a direct hit. A blast shot just to blow a track on a light tank. So the first thing you upgrade is your treads. Your treads are the things that keep you active, they keep you moving. Without them, you're shit of luck. You can't do anything without treads. The treads are the first thing you need to get better. The second thing you need, if you want to make sure you're able to keep up with the rest of the guys, you're going to need the engine next. Third off, you're going to need a better radio. The reason why is because a radio provides signal range. A radio provides range. The radio provides range in meters, but mind you, allows you to communicate with other tanks on your team. Okay, guys? Let's say your allied tank is 850 meters away. Now, let's say you're off on the right side of the map, okay? You're all alone. You're 850 meters away from your teammates. Guess what? No one is going to show up on the map. Why? Because your radio is only capable of 700 meters. If your radio is only capable of 700 meters, then that means that you have to have a teammate in 700 meters of your tank at all times in order to be able to see what's going on in the battlefield. Otherwise, you're screwed. You're running blind. Anybody you spot, your teammates will not be able to see them. Why? Because you have nobody in radio range. Your radio man is now reporting that person you spotted, and nobody is going to hear it because they have nobody in radio range. You need to be in radio range of your teammates at all times, because you spot somebody, your teammates will not be able to see that spot, and you are screwed, majorly screwed. The radio is the most important thing in your tank. Treads first, radio second. This is optional. This all depends on whether you want to keep up with them or if you're okay with going slow and purposeful. This is entirely up to you. This has nothing to do with survival of the tank. I will tell you this. Certain engines, certain types, this goes to USSR only. The name of the engine, I know this for a fact. Certain Soviet engines are more capable of lighting on fire than other Soviet engines. How do I know this? I've been playing Soviet Union in this game for a long time. And I've learned, when you see a certain engine, get a new one in there as soon as you can. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's worse or if there's a better engine. If there's a better engine, that's a better engine, I'm sticking with the old one. Certain engines from USSR you avoid like the plague. Horrible. USSR was never known for their engines. Light up like a Christmas tree. Horrible. Horrible engines. Horrible engines. They light up like a Christmas tree. Very easily to light that engine on fire. Very easily. Very easy to do so. Especially with the wrong engine in it. Let's see. Let me show you guys an example of a tank with a really crappy engine. Let's see. I think it was in the original KV. Maybe. Okay. This is one of the red flag engines. This, according to the game, not in real life, this engine has a 20% chance of lighting on fire. 20% out of 100. 20. Think of this, guys. A spark goes near the engine. If the engine suddenly sparks, there's a 20% chance that spark will ignite and light the entire tank on fire. That's not a good thing. When you see anything higher than 5%, you have every reason to panic. This is 15%. This is high, but it's much better than this. I mean, 15% is doable. All you have to do is have firefighting. All you have to do to prevent that is have a firefighting skill. Has to, let's see. I'll show you what you can do to prevent an engine fire. The first thing you can do see the modified configuration class 1? Look at the very bottom. -50 to the chance of engine fire. Okay? Read very carefully these things right here. Now, if you know for a fact an engine has a very distinct chance of lighting on fire, make sure you pick. See that right there? That box, survivability? Make sure you put this in that slot. Now, the IS-7 does not have a very big chance of fire. So, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter. What it is weak at is it is prone to HE damage, which is the reason why I've added a spoil liner. What this also does, this not only prevents engine fire, this also prevents one fuel tank fire, ammo rack explosions, and engine destructions upon destruction of the modules. For example, if something destroys the ammo rack will not cause a fire and cause a massive explosion and instantly kill the tank. As long as you have modified configuration on, your fuel tank and your ammo rack will not cause your tank to explode. Modified configuration is like you putting a Band-Aid on the inside of your tank and getting ready. If somebody hits you, your crew goes out, puts a Band-Aid on it. That's what modified configuration is. Modified configuration keeps you protected just in case. And with World of Tanks 2.0 being active, and this being readily available, and oh, trust me, people are using this now. People are using this very, very much. People are very much using this. I'm telling you right now. Now that people are using the hell out of this, I would be very worried that your engine and your fuel tanks are going to be targeted. For example, my fuel tanks are right here, my engine's right here. If I had modified configuration in that slot, I'm telling you right now, the tank would not explode. But if I didn't have a spoil liner in, a spoil liner protects you against artillery. If artillery shoots, think of a spoil liner as a tanker's best friend against artillery. Now, why do you need protection against HE shots? Why? Who's going to hit you in an HE shot? Dumb shit. Artillery uses HE rounds. Allow me to show you guys. Ready? Artillery uses only HE rounds. We don't use anything else but HE rounds. How do I know this? I've been playing artillery more than I play anything else. There's my AP. There's my gold rounds. There's my HE. If I put a spoil liner on, it's going to lessen the damage that I take from HE shots. Look at the damage potential on one round on my artillery. Can you think, just knowing that my artillery is so weak on the top, picture an artillery getting a direct hit on my upper part of my tank with 1,000 damage per shot. My tank is as good as dead. The crew has no hope of survival. They're done for. One shot, that tank is done. There's little to no armor on the top of the tank. End of story. Any and all tanks have shit for armor on the top. That is the reason why you put a spoil liner on your tank. You put a spoil liner on your tank, it prevents douchebags like this from using HE rounds at 1,000 damage per shot, aiming right at you from top, and taking out your entire fucking tank in one shot. That, when in the beginning of this game, that's what people used to do. That was the purpose. That was the whole sole purpose of it. Yes, I bet you didn't want to hear that. And yes, that is a reality check. You know what? That's what I'm here for. Reality is, artillery is very, very dangerous. If you're not paying attention to your whereabouts and where you are and what's around you, you're not aware that you're being watched from artillery at all times. Trust me, they're watching. If someone's watching you, they're watching you too. We're gonna play around. I'm gonna show you an example. I'm not gonna get like 15 kills. I'm just going to explain to you guys in this round what it's like to be in an artillery piece in a game. And why you pick the places you pick. Now, in a board like this, it means you're panicking. See buildings all over the place, you know for a fact. And the people within the building, you're not going to get good shots. It means you panic. But right with the point, there's no building.
No, someone's going to have big problems now.
Everybody,
not me.
we're in the artillery. And right to the point. Try not to knock anything over. And that guy is making my life harder. As long as he knocks it over, I'm going to be in big trouble. But I guess I have no choice. I'm going to assume that they're immediately going to assume that he did. So, that's fine. Now, look in the bottom of the screen where my fire extinguisher is. See the camo net right there? See the camo net's glowing green? That means enemy cannot see me on the radar. No one can spot me unless they're up close and staring in my direction. Which means they have to know where I am. And that down tree is a red flag. There's nothing to do about it. Unless the tank is covered in shrubbery, my camouflage will not be as good as it should be. But there's nothing to do about it. Now that we're invisible, we can go in overhead mode and go freely. But keep in mind, look at the camo net. Every time we move the hull, we don't have a turret. Again, just like a tank destroyer, we don't have a turret. Every time we move, that camouflage net shuts off. See it? It's insane. We lose our shots. Every single time we lose our shots. And it sucks. See, now this guy has this thing blocking him right here. This is blocking my shot. So the best I can do is right here. If I shoot from here, then right there, that'll fit. If I shoot from there, I have to make sure I aim very carefully. Because the aiming circle is not fully closed in. Aiming circle has to be fully closed in. Once you get the perfect shot. Perfect shot. Direct hit. It hit right on the top. That was a direct hit. Obviously, the tank destroyer has upper Now, I'm not moving, but I want the surface to be as small as possible. We don't need the help anymore. He's dead. Now we can, before we move, we're going to look at the map right now and see who might need help. Now we know for a fact, if we help the guys at the bottom on the J line, they have buildings around them. So there's not really much we can do. What we can do is help the guys in the field. Now he's calling for help over there. He's calling for help. We can see what we can do. We can move down there and see if we can get a shot. If we are able to nail ourselves a shot, help them. Well, honestly, we have nothing. See? The building's blocking that shot. This is what I was afraid of. If we jump down and help these guys, we can't do anything about it. There's nothing we can do. This is what I'm thinking is that we can shoot beyond the bridge, but because they are so close to the bridge, if we fire that shot will instantly come down and graze the bridge and knock a piece of the bridge out and not hit him. That's why. Now, if we aim to him, it'll hit the building. If we miss the building, it'll hit this. So obviously, we have two things. We can't hit him. There's the building. This is no way right here. Now him, building, and this, and this. Not far enough back. We have to go farther back. We have to go here. here where I do have shots and help them. That's all I can do. But again, it's hard because if they move, it's going to take you too long to actually hit them. This is the problem we always have with artillery. Because artillery is taking too long to aim, too long to fire. The targets you're trying to hit are too fast. You have to move. When you move, that's going to cause some serious issues. See, now the reason why our shots blocked is because of that little hill right there. This little hill right here is going to nick the bullet. This right here, the bullet will nick the ground right here on its way to go get him. This is a small hill here. This hill is higher than this place here, which means that it'll sails over this area, it nicks the hill right here. This is it. So that is going to miss. Again, something's blocking my path. I don't see it. Something's blocking my path. Something is blocking my path. Again, I don't know what it is. Something again is blocking my path. Again, help me blocking my shot. Delman blocking my shot. Again. Yeah, you know what? Even if you know it's going to miss, you have to test it. You have to test it, you have to try it. Let them know to get the attention you're on. Now you got a shot. Take it. Whether it's going to hit or not, take it. Let them know if you're paying attention. Let them know if you're capable of hitting the target. Let them know. If this many buildings around, it's only possible for you to get shot. See that tag right there? That anything wants you to tag that spot. Everything wants you to tag a certain spot. So we're going to tag something's blocking our shots. Oh, we have artillery. Oh, come on! Why would artillery go there? Useless. Moron. Oh, fucking building there. Give me a break. This is ridiculous. Come on. This is blocking my goddamn shot. Hold on. I'm taking a chance, guys. Okay, now what I was gonna do is I was gonna try to aim there. Hopefully, the bullet was going to hit here. The bullet was going to hit the front of the building. I was hoping to God it was going to hit the back of the building and the blast damage. He would have at least taken blast damage. Not a lot, but blast damage. I was hoping to at least get some blast damage out of that one shot. It would have been better than nothing. So, okay, looks like we got something. Probably on the Battle Pass. Anything we get from Battle Pass, I'll take it. I'm quite thankful. So let me see. Do we want to boost this? Absolutely. The reason why is because I didn't finish the thing I showed you. I didn't finish that. So we do want to boost the experience with this. With some of the tier 10s, you especially want to finish. You desperately want to try to finish. I'll show you this. With tier 10s, you want to try and finish your field modifications. Because they have a lot. They have 8 modifications. 8. They have full service. Ready to go. So I mean, you really have to grind the hell out of your tier 10s. I mean, seriously, grind them. But again, grinding a tier tank, like I said in the video game reviews, grinding any tier tank will reduce your gold considerably if you lose a battle. See, we won the battle, which is the reason why I made good with the money. But if we had lost that battle, I would have been in deep when it came to money. Every time you lose a battle, you lose money. I mean, money. Which is the reason why you add this. If you add this will give you 50% credits when you lose a battle. So this will prevent you from going in the minus. This will help you barely break even if you lose a battle. That's all this is meant to do. So if you're playing a tank, you have to grind through and you keep losing battle after battle, but you have to grind this tank. You have to activate that. You have absolutely no choice. That is your best friend, because that will prevent you from losing your credits. Okay, guys? Very important. As well, to speed up the process, it helps to have this and this. So if you're grinding a tier tank, and this tank absolutely blows, you cannot stand it, and you keep dying, you feel that you have to get through this tank. Activate all 3 and then grind the hell out of that tank until these are over. When these are expired, stop. Don't touch it anymore. After these are done and over, don't touch them. Don't touch them until you're ready to grind them again. Until you're ready to grind that tank again. Only use these on your worst tank. I'm telling you. By doing that, you'll barely break even. You might be able to break even when it comes to you'll be able to speed up your progress you'll enable you to speed up your progress when it comes to getting XP. Okay? So you'll help the tank and the crew to gain what it needs to move on. At the same time, it will help your wallet to regain the credits that was lost due to all the losses. So these 3 are extremely useful for the tanks that you hate the most. Allow me to show you guys the tanks I hate the most. And trust me, I hate this tank more than life itself. But I'm determined to grind this tank until the very end. I am determined, beyond determined, to grind this tank. This tank I cannot stand this tank at all. Has to be the worst tank I've ever played. Actually, the T10's the worst heavy I've ever played. This is the worst medium I've ever played. Let me show you guys why I can't stand this tank so much. First off, this tank does not yet have its engine. It has its treads and its gun. Well, I completely went against what I said I should do, right? I knew this tank was gonna suck, and I knew I was gonna get stuck with this tank for a long time. So I figured, okay, what if I give it a chance, a fighting chance of treating this like it's a tank destroyer? Even though it's a medium tank, what if I make it slower? Upgrade the engine dead last. Okay, guys? Treat this, put a bigger gun on it, and treat it like it's a tank destroyer. By doing this, it just might put me in the bottom of the ranks when it comes to trees. When you start the game, it rates your tank based off what you have in it. And by equipping it like this, it's going to think it's a tank destroyer. So all I have to do is just play this exactly like you would a tank destroyer. Okay, guys? The problem is that means if you're top tier, that means you have to play this tank like you're a heavy. And playing a medium tank like a heavy, you're screwed. Armor on this thing sucks. Tank destroyers have a really good frontal armor, but the rest of their armor sucks. I mean, Upper Glacius is goddamn impenetrable. Lower Glacius on any tank is weak. Every single tank imaginable, including this one. I will show you guys the armor, and there's why I hate this tank so much. The only strong armor on this tank is that. That's it. That and that. Maybe that. If you're lucky. That sucks. Now, if you want to break their gun, you have to aim for this to break their gun. Because that's only 40 millimeters right there, because there is no armor here. It's wide open, that's white. Now, when a tank is situated like this, the reason why I don't like this tank, and I'm explaining this really slowly, because my brain gets sort of messed up as this day gets later. When a tank has a turret in the back of the hull, you have the gunner and the loader right here. Okay, now in the front of the tank, you have the driver and the radio man right here. All right. Now, what's here, you're asking? What's here? Engine is right here. See my problem? The engine is right behind the driver and the commander. And the fuel tanks? Oh, that's easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. There's the fuel tanks. Here and here. 80 millimeters of armor separates you from valuable fuel. 80 millimeters of armor. The rear end of this tank, horrible, horrible, horrible. 40 millimeters of armor. So if you ever decide to turn the turret around, don't. Because I'm telling you right now, 100 on lower glaciers, 100 is a lot better than 80 on the back, 40 on the back. But at the same time, on the top, it's no better. On top is only 80. So hold down. Hold down is not an option. What is an option is what you can do with a tank like this. It sucks so bad. Now you know why people insist on skipping tanks. This is why. How do you expect to play a game when you have no chance of survival? Well, what you can do is, if you have a tank like this, you can't stand playing, that absolutely positively sucks. Determine instantly. Okay, I want to skip this tank. How do we do that? Go to the tech tree. Find out what the name of the tank is on Object 430-2. It's a medium tank. It's called Object 430-2. Now to get the tier 10, it's a tier 9. To get the tier 10, we need 235,000. To skip this tank, we only have 29,000. So we need to grind another tank and then take the experience off of that tank. Now here is where I explained in the first video game tactics video. I think that was the 2.0 video. I did explain this briefly in that video. I'm going to go over it again. Your premium tanks. Here's where your premium tanks are going to come in handy. Now your premium tanks, their job is to do what regular tanks cannot do. Now, from when this game first started, premium tanks can train crew members faster. Premium tanks instantly train crew faster. Why do they do that? I don't know. They just do. So, if you hate playing a tank, but the crew is amazing, for example, the tank, if I'm playing a tank destroyer, I can't stand. Let's say that medium tank. Let's say I can't stand playing it, but I figured, what if it had a better crew? Okay, let's pick a medium tank. This is a medium tank. It don't look like a medium tank, but it is. That's beside the point. This tank I just got. It has 3 crew members, three perks trained. Alright, ready? This tank I've had for years. Years. This crew has 3 perks trained. These 2 crew members were trained. I started training these crew members for this tank only. These 2 came off of the last tank. Okay, guys? My last medium tank only had 2 crew members in it. So I had to train 2 brand new crew members for this tank. I basically took 2 crew members off of a premium tank. And so I took 2 crew members off the premium tank and put them on this tank. But because I took them off of a light tank, I had to retrain them to fit a medium tank. Now, when you take a crew off a premium tank and put them on another tank, you shouldn't have to retrain them. But I had to retrain them because they were taken off of a light tank. This is a medium tank. So now if I take these 2 crew members off of this tank and put them on that one right there, I won't get any penalties. Why? Because it's a premium tank. That's why. If I take 2 crew members off of the premium tank and put them on this tank, I will not have to retrain them from scratch. I will not have to pay 130 gold just to retrain their asses without having to start from 0. I'll be exactly where I was before. No questions asked. No retraining necessary. Granted, they're not the same color. They won't be the same color. Granted, everything will be dark red. It'll look like they're not being trained. It'll look like they don't belong in the tank. But they will act exactly the way they're supposed to act. Why? Because they're in the same tank type, in the same country, in the same tank type. Because they're in the same tank type, and because they're in the same country, you can get away with moving them from a premium tank to a tech tree tank and not have to retrain them. As long as they are not the commander, you're okay. Commanders have to be trained for the tank they're in. Regardless, I don't give a shit what you are. This came from a premium tank. I had this on a premium tank. I had this on a Churchill 3. I had to retrain this one. I had no choice. Okay, guys? The reason why I had to retrain this one was because it's a commander. And this was the commander of a premium. But it was a premium. She was the commander of a premium heavy tank. Now, because of this tank's layout, I treat this tank as though it's a heavy tank. The reason being because it's so slow. It's as slow as a heavy. It's not the speed of a medium. It's the speed of a heavy. And the reason being is because it never got the big engine. So I don't treat this like a medium. I just treat this like an extremely squishy heavy. A heavy that cannot take a hit at all. So that's what I do. I follow the heavies. I stay far in the back of the heavies and stuff like that. I follow the heavies from the rear. I cover the rear end of the heavies. I make sure I have protective stuff on the tank. I should have stuff to boost the spotting, but I figured may as well boost the speed. Because if I have to be a heavy, and I do have this active, at least, the very least, I do not, with this active on the tank, I do not have to get that engine. Why? Because I increase the engine power automatically. Because of this, I no longer need to increase the speed of the engine. I do not need to get the better engine. And plus, I can still treat this as though it's a heavy. Because that Tier 2 mobility improvement increases the engine speed significantly, but not a lot. It's basically now the speed of a Tier 2 mobility improvement is equal to having a Tier 2 turbocharger. It's not a lot. It really is not a lot, but it's better than nothing. I mean, honestly, a Tier 2 mobility improvement system is only a +6. A Tier 2 turbocharger is a +10. In reality, this thing can go faster. But if this thing goes too fast, that means I'm going to be forced to follow the medium. And with this thing's layout, and the way this tank is laid out, I really honestly don't think this thing can handle mediums, being with other mediums. I don't think, the way the hull is situated and when you have to turn, it's very cumbersome and it's very weird when you're turning, because the hull turns and there's no armor at all. Zero. Nothing. This tank has zero armor from head to toe. So you're being forced to turn the body around and go hull down every single time, or else you're dead. You have to angle the armor big time or go hull down. You either do that and fire like this, or cover the hull completely. You have two choices with this tank. Two. Cover the hull with something like a brick wall or something like that, or a stone wall or something like that, something that can't be broken. or just, you know, or travel with the heavies. Don't put the big engine in. Do not put a very big turbocharger in. Just put a small one. This is not a full turbocharger. This is a small one. Now, see now, if I did put the real turbocharger in, I would have gotten the bonus. Why? Because, let's see. See that symbol right there? That matches this symbol. If I put a turbocharger here, I will get a bonus. Now, you see, the standard turbocharger is 7.5. I have 8 right now in there. So I have the experimental in there. I'm only getting a 0.5 boost more than the original turbocharger. That 0.5 boost is just enough to get me over hills. So I'm using the experimental on that tank because I know for a fact that I'm not going to get the full 10, which I don't want. Because if I get the full 10, that means the speed of that tank, I won't need the big engine at all, and I can finally travel with the other mediums. But that's not what I want. The reason why I don't want that, because of this. The armor is unable to handle not even one clear shot. Armor cannot handle it. The armor is paper thin, absolutely paper thin. 60 millimeters of armor on the sides, 70 on the gun. Gun tips 40. It's insane. 180 is the thickest armor in this tank. 180 is the absolute positively thickest there is. This tank has a 0.0004 chance of survival. This tank has no survival skills at all. None. Everybody that hits me always hits me here. What they don't know is that there's a lot more than that to hit it, to shoot at. This is thinner. This is only 40. That's 60. That's 60. They don't shoot at that. They shoot at this. Okay, that's 20. But this blows the track. So, sure, blow my track. They'll repair it. This, not good. They shoot this, you take damage. They shoot this, they might hit the ammo rack and/or damage crew members. If they're firing an HE shell at this, it will injure crew members for sure. Crew members might get knocked out. Period. If you fire an HE shell at these things here, an HE shell will injure crew members. They will absolutely positively injure crew members that are nearby those. Those sconces have little to no armor. They're 30. That's no armor, that's glass. That's just a hole with glass. That's 30 is nothing. 60 is a piece of sheet metal. That's all 60 is. It's sheet metal here. That's it. There's zero armor. The side of your you know what this is? The side of your automobile right now. That's 60 millimeters. That's what 60 millimeters armor is. The side of the automobile. So if you take a handgun, you shoot a handgun, a regular handgun into the side of a car, the bullet goes right into the side of the car. That's why people aim for this. Because they know this has zero armor. There is no armor ever here, ever. This is usually weak, the lower glacis. It just so happens that this is lower than anything else. In reality, if you can get away with firing hull up and just having this exposed and this covered, you can cover this and this and expose this. This is your strongest armor. This here, and that here. That's the strongest armor in your tank. The weak spots are right here. In reality, you can't, there's absolutely nothing you can do, guys. There's nothing you can do around it. The best you can do is angle the armor. Never fire straight on. Angle, turn to fire. Because if they shoot, there's a chance it might ricochet. Even though it's thin, there's a chance because it's angled. If you're hitting that angle and a further angle, the armor is already angled. Okay, guys. So if they fired at it from their head, there's a chance it might ricochet. If it ricochets, they'll probably hit this, and while that is straight, that might ricochet, but that also might go through. If that does not ricochet, that might go through. Because look at it very carefully. Angled armor and then a straight piece right here. What's behind that straight piece? One basic plate of armor. And we have another basic plate of armor. So the shell might degrade. So, picture this. A bullet hits this. It ricochets. It goes through this. If it's high explosive, that will explode. And will do a little tiny bit of damage to your crew members. A little tiny bit of damage. If your bullet is armor piercing, it will ricochet, fly through this, hit this on the angle, because this is angled. See that? Hit this on an angle. That bullet will then ricochet up. And you might get away with a front shot. Might. As long as your hull looks like this, you might be able to get away with it. Might. Why? Because this is angled. This is straight. The bullet's going to go through this, hit this, ricochet, and you're good. is going to ricochet, going to go through this, and then ricochet off of this. You're covered. Now, if somebody hits the same spot, it'll do the same exact thing, except the only exception is if it goes through that hole. If it goes through the same exact hole, there's a very distinct chance that it might not ricochet. Very distinct chance it might actually go through. Because that is not the same angle as this one. Now, you have to pay attention to the angles. The steeper the angle, the more of a chance of it penetrating. See this angle right here? That's a 4-degree angle. Which means if you hit this head on, it's going to pink right off instantly. Instantly pink right off. Instantly. The only thing is, with a 4-degree angle, artillery, eat that for breakfast. This is an artillery's main target, right here. Artillery aims for here. Always aim for here. That's the weakest spot. Usually artillery tries to aim for the turret, the top of the turret. I'll show you why. Artillery sometimes aims for the top of the turret because armor is so thin. Plus, all the crew members are in the turret. You could damage the gun and or possibly set ammunition on fire, which could murder the crew members. It's mean, but if you kill the crew members, I mean, I've never had a crew member get killed before, ever. But in reality, if you can, I've had a crew member get knocked out. When I was in an American tank once, the crew member said, "He's knocked out. I'll take over for him." When I'm in an American tank once, I heard them say that, which means that he's dead. He's not coming back. I'm gonna have to take over for him. So, if a crew member is knocked out, another crew member has to take their place, which means they're not doing their job. Hence the reason why they have a commander. The commander has to be trained for every single job, which is the reason why you always want the commander to have the mentor skill. Always make sure you have the mentor skill on your commander. See? I didn't take my own advice. I forgot. I had brothers in arms instead of mentor. That was my mistake. But I corrected that mistake because there's mentor. It says here, the commander can replace any knocked out crew members with 43% effectiveness. Which means if you have the mentor skill, that commander can do its job and still do the knocked out person's job with 43% effectiveness. While the other crew members will assist. So if, for example, if the gunner gets killed, right? The gunner gets murdered. Now, the loader will instantly take over the gunner's. Instant will take the gunner. The gunner will take over the. The loader will take over the gunner's job until the commander can step in. When the commander steps in, the loader will go back to their own job. The tank will learn to cover each other. And the gunner that was knocked out, well, my guess will probably either be helped by the driver if they stop. They'll probably be helped by the driver once they stop. And hopefully get them back in the battle. That's the way the crew will work. You have to really think of it this way. A crew member gets knocked out, and all of a sudden, they're back, but they're not 100%. Why? That's why. Because somebody has to take care of their crew member. Most likely it's a person that doesn't have an actual job. And if you have the commander as the radio man, this commander has a job. This commander is the commander and the radio man. So, if somebody gets knocked out, the commander has mentor. The commander's going to jump in the position. Now, we have no radio man. We have no active radio man right now. Why? Because the commander is covering the gunner's position. Now we have a problem. Until we get that guy back up to 100%, the commander is going to constantly be covering that position. So the radio position is going to be considerably reduced. The mini-map is going to be literally empty. Why? Because the radio man's job to pull up coordinates and report back coordinates that we spot. For example, if the driver spots somebody dead ahead, he screams to the radio man, and the radio man instantly reports the coordinates, and that gets placed on the minimap. That's basically how all this works in real life. When you coordinate this game according to real life, that's how it would work. That's the reason why you have certain people in certain jobs. Now, having the commander, if somebody's going to do two jobs, the second job they do, the first job has to be important, but not as important. See, the commander is in charge of the tank. The commander should have the ability to take over any position that goes down. The commander should be the best soldier and the greatest experience out of all the other crew members. The commander should have twice as many skills learned as everybody else. And in this case, this tank is trained properly. Your commander should be more skilled than everybody else. And you should have all your basic skills done first. Anything that requires all your crew members to know. For example, camouflage, repairs, those skills all require all crew members to know. Brothers in Arms, well, we have Brothers in Arms here to give you a crew efficiency bonus. Something else that it can improve the crew efficiency bonus. I'll show you right now. It comes in handy. If you want to improve the crew efficiency bonus, yeah, this. This helps a lot. So if you have Brothers in Arms at full, and then add this, you add that with the bonus, that's 6 plus 3 is 9. Your crew efficiency bonus is at 9. That's insane. Your crew is going to be running on overdrive. These guys are going to be learning skills like crazy. Crew efficiency bonuses are very important to speed your crew up. If you want your crew to learn faster, you're going to have to get your crew efficiency bonus higher. You need to jack that bonus number up as high as you can get it. Absolutely as high as you can get it. Any skills that you learn that can improve the crew efficiency bonus, go for it. What I recommend is, you pick one tank out of all your premium tanks of every type. Okay, guys? Now, it doesn't have to be your favorite. It doesn't have to be a really good tank. You just need one tank of every type. For example, you need one light tank. Okay, you need one light tank with a premium tank. Premium, light. Pick one of these that are your favorite, that you really enjoy playing. Okay? One tank that you really like to play. For example, this one. Give all its crew members Brothers in Arms, which I did not do, and give it the crew efficiency bonus, which I did not do. Probably because this does not have a full crew. These guys are doing double duty. See? Probably why I didn't do that. Now let's see if we can try and go a little higher in the ranking system here. Now let's see. Now we're starting to get into the higher ranks. So now instead of having 2 with 3 crew members, now we have 4. Which is normal for a medium tank. And it's also normal for the commander to be the radio man in a medium tank. This is perfectly normal. I've seen this before. It's also normal for sometimes the gunner is a radio man, but that's retarded bullshit. You'll see other countries like France or Germany, sometimes they'll have the gunner be the radio man, but sometimes you'll actually get a dedicated radio man. Certain tanks you will get a dedicated radio man. Heavy tanks, you will see heavy tanks with dedicated radio man. See, this one doesn't have it. Some tanks do. See, you have a dedicated radio operator. Right there. Each person is doing their own job. No one person. Now, if you give this guy a mentor, he will be able to do all their jobs. Once this guy learns repairs, and he gets his next skill upgrade, have him learn Mentor, and you're good to go. Now, see, the thing is, the mistake I made here with him, I made a mistake. I gave him sound detection. Now, sound detection, a radio man is supposed to have sound detection. I'm so used to there being only 4 crew members. I'm not used to being there. I'm not used to actually there only being. I'm used to only 4 crew members. Having 5 crew members is so confusing to me because I'm not used to having a dedicated radio man. So therefore, I made a mistake. So I can reset him and do it right. Now allow me to show you the right thing to do. You ready? Watch this. I'm about to show you the right way to do him. Now this is the right thing to do. First perk always has to be the same as your teammates. Second perk, same as your teammates. Third perk, your teammates all have repairs. That's going to be your third perk. Now, everybody is good to go. Now, everybody has Brothers in Arms, everybody has Camouflage, and everybody is going to have repairs. Now, I didn't have repairs. I had sound detection, Brothers in Arms, and Camouflage. Repairs was going to be next. Because I reset him, because I clicked this and reset his skills and did it correctly, now everybody can finally. Now we're just waiting on him. Well, what we can do now is accelerate training. Click this. We can use free experience. If we use our free experience right now, we'll boost them up to. We'll boost that perk up to 93% if we use our free experience right now. This tank's free experience, I think, would probably be on our best benefit to use a free experience. Okay, so we use all of our free experience to boost them up to 93% instead of 70. So that's a big help. Not quite where we wanted it, but it's a big help, which means it's almost done. Just a handful more battles and we'll be caught up. Then the tank will be able to repair itself in no time. In the meantime, repair kits, repair kits, repair kits. We're going to be using repair kits like it's going out of style. Which means the regular repair kits are going away and we're putting in a large repair kit. Large repair kits will repair everything in the tank. If something breaks, they repair it, leave it broken, patched up. Second thing breaks, they repair it. A third thing breaks, large repair kit, repair everything at once. Large repair kit is only good if you have all crew members with repairs at 100%. And when I get more training manuals, I intend on doing just that. Making sure that he gets his repairs. Make sure he gets his repairs. Because he's almost there. Which means I need to grind this tank just a little longer. Which means I'm not quite done with this tank yet. So I really, really honestly do need. So what you can do is, if the tank, here's a little trick, ready? I'm about to show you something. Go to research. See if you have anything that needs to be unlocked. If you don't, the tank, sometimes premium tanks have stuff to unlock, sometimes they don't. If they don't, then you have a decision. Either use a tank for grinding for experience, and then take the experience off of it, convert it to free experience, or push this button, spend all experience earned this vehicle on crew training. Least experienced crew member is trained twice as fast. So that one crew member that's lagging behind is about to get trained 2 times faster now. Why? Because we put that. Now we're not going to get any experience at all, period, from this tank. We're not going to get anything on this tank from now on. It's all going to go to the crew members. The reason why is because this tank doesn't have anything to unlock. This tank has no extra stuff to unlock. This tank is too old. When this tank was created and added to the game, they didn't have. Let me give you an example. When premium tanks were invented, this didn't exist. This wasn't even a thing back in the old days. All they showed you was what was currently in the tank, and they had a brief explanation of what the purpose of the premium tank was, what it did, and what its benefits were. And that's it. They no longer have that. But the benefits you get with it are still the same. What you can do with a premium tank and the benefits of using a premium tank is you can transfer crew members from one tank, from premium tank to a tier tank without retraining them, as long as they're the same type of tank. And as long as you have the same amount of crew members. So if you have a heavy tank with 4 crew members, you better make sure that she's going in a heavy tank with 4 crew members. Get my drift? If she's going in a heavy tank with only 4 crew members, then you might not have to even train her. You can just throw her in and she'll do her job. She may not look right. She may have different colors and stuff. She'll still do her job at 100%. She's just not going to gain anything. But why would the commander need anything? You're transferring a crew member from your premium tank. That means that crew member is already jacked to the max. And you're transferring a fully functioning commander that has everything it needs to another tank, it doesn't need anything. The rest of the crew does. So who cares? As long as the crew member does his job and does it right, you're fine. The only time I take advantage of that is with commanders. And as long as commanders have the right skills, you have to make sure the commanders have the following skills in the following order. Let me see if I have. Oh no, I have to put my IS-7. My IS-7 is probably going to be your best bet. My IS-7 is probably going to be the best way to show you guys what a commander should look like. Now this tank came off of my my T10. This Mila came off of my T10, and I had her situated just like this. The T10 is the tier 9 version. Actually, the T10 is not the tier 9 version. The T10 is the tier 9 version of the Object 277. Object 257, I never even used that tank. I bypassed it. I will explain to you how to bypass a tank in a little bit. I'm not going to go over it in detail now. I'm just going to finish what I'm talking about. I had Mila on this tank, okay guys? And the reason why I had her on that tank was because when I first got this tank, I read up a lot about this online. This tank absolutely sucked. And I figured, how am I going to get through this tank as fast as I can? I'm going to have to get the best crew members I've ever seen. So, how do I do that? I don't know. So, I went through all my premium tanks and decided to take a look at my premium tanks. And decided, you know what? I'm going to do exactly what I'm going to do exactly what I thought I should have did a long time ago. I'm going to go through all my premium tanks. I'm going to decide what, out of all my heavy premiums, which ones have the best crew out of all. I mean, the hands down greatest crew of all. My oldest tank, of course, the Churchill 3. This is my absolute oldest tank. So I found all the crew members of my Churchill 3, and the crew on them was absolute insanity. I pulled them all off the tank, sent them right to the depot. Once I got the IS-7, I added all these crew members. I retrained all of them to fit the tank. I didn't need to, but I did anyway. Why? Because I had the gold. I didn't care. I had the gold. So I retrained them properly to fit the tank. Now, if I didn't, all I have to do is click this. You can change the specialization. That's retraining. If you want to retrain somebody for a different tank, just Click this. Change the tank. So now back in the old days, you'd have to click something else. You have to right click. And there was something that said retrain. Click retrain and it says, for what tank would you like to retrain? Pick the tank you'd like to retrain it for. You pick the tank, and then after that it says, what position would you like it to be? And they tell you commander, gunner, driver, loader, or radio man. You pick a position, and the person is instantly made especially for that tank. But because this crew member started out in a premium vehicle, because this particular crew member started out in a premium vehicle, read this right here. This crew member can be transferred to all premium heavy tanks, including USSR, without penalties. So if this crew member, if I wanted to transfer this to a heavy, if I felt like transferring this back to the Churchill 3, I would have no penalties at all whatsoever. None. Why? Because this came from a premium tank. There would be no penalties. Now let's go back to the premium. Let's go back to the premium tanks. Granted, you have tier 5 versus tier 10, but the same amount of crew members. This crew member can be transferred to all premium heavy tanks. Premium heavy tanks without penalties. Not premium heavy. Wait. Can we transfer to all premium heavy tanks without penalties? Okay, here's the benefit. 50% more combat and crew XP, more credits earned by battle, free crew transfer from vehicles of the same type of any tier with no penalty whatsoever. No penalty at all whatsoever. It has to be transferred, same army, same tier, without penalty. So if I want to transfer this tank to a regular heavy tank and not have a penalty, it has to be transferred to a tier 5 heavy. So I have to find a tier 5 heavy. This is the Soviet Union tier 5 heavy tank. So I have to find Soviet Union tier 5 heavy tank. Tier 5. I have to transfer that crew right now to this tank If I do that, this tank, this crew, will have 0 training needed. It will just slide right into that tank. That is the reason why I have so many premium tanks, because in so many tiers, because all the crew that's in that tank, all I have to do is just transfer them back and forth from regular tanks right back to the premium tanks. But because I transferred it from a tier 5 to a tier 10, I had to pay for it. And if I transferred from a tier 5 to a tier 5, I wouldn't have to pay for it. But I really enjoyed that. I really worked hard on that crew, and I didn't want to have to start from scratch. And I didn't intend on grinding that tank like crazy, which I should have if I knew there was going to be a tier 11, which there is right now. If I knew this was going to exist, I would have grinded that tank, but it never did. I just picked up the tank and dumped the crew from my Churchill 3 in there, and that was it. I said, okay, that's done. Let's move on to another tank, which is what I'm doing right now. As you can see, the 261 is done. Working on the 263, 704. Working on these two. This is done. This is now back up to the grinding stage, thanks to this thing. I heard about this, never got to try it. I did the beta testing, but I didn't really. I should have played it. I should have tried to see how it was. It should be the same with this. Again, I never did that. I should have, but I never did it. It is what it is. Same thing with this one. This one I never got to try either. I should have tried it, but I didn't. I did unlock this, but I didn't try it. So, I am curious about this one though. I did hear some stuff about this one. This one does not look that special. I'm guessing the gun might have something to do with it. There's something about this tank that I overheard from the grapevine that made this tank really special. Right off the bat, this is a medium tank. Armor is, for a medium tank, armor is really not that. I mean, it's paper thin. Granted, it's absolute paper thin. But the whole armor, the turret armor is 270 at base, right? It's a base 300 turret armor with a 270 millimeter screen over the turret. Excuse me? It has an armor shield, a 270 millimeter armor shield over the turret. That's insane. That's almost 500 millimeters of armor. 500 millimeters of armor. 500. 300. See, 240. That 300 right there, that 340, that 300, yeah, 340 millimeters. That's insane, guys. That's absolutely ridiculous. That 300, yeah, 305 millimeters. See that? Right there. 305 millimeters. That's ridiculous. All thanks to this plate they have covering the turret. This plate makes the armor at least over 305 millimeters. So if you go haul down this bitch, nobody is getting through that. Nothing is getting through that armor at all. Nothing. Only thing you're getting through is this. Nothing is going to get through this. I don't care what it is. Nothing is getting through. Now this is a different story. Now if you look at it from this perspective, this is the same exact thing. But this is always considered a weak spot. This is never a heavy duty spot. So at the very least, this is probably 242 millimeter steel plate. This is not armor. This is steel plate. So this steel plate is 100 millimeters thick. And it's not even a steel plate. This says it's a screen. See? It's a screen. Now, if you're looking at this, if you decide, if you're what now, here's where it comes in handy. It says it's 125 millimeters thick. Now, if you angle the armor, like I told you guys to, let's say you want to angle the armor. This is 100 millimeters, right? Let's say you're worried about the side armor because it's only 100 millimeters. Don't worry about it. See that? It looks, from this angle, it looks like a solid steel plate. Which means this is at least a 125. The side armor is at least 125. So, as long as you angle the armor, the shots will ricochet. The shots will ricochet, and at the same time, they'll ricochet off the sides too. Why? Because that screen right there turns into a ricochet machine. See? There's a reason for their madness. It's not a useless screen. The shots just ricochet right off. Again, the side has crap armor. Beyond crap armor. But, hit it from this angle, you're dead. If you hit the tank from this angle, not only hit the tank, if you hit a tank from this angle, not only can you not touch the turret ever, period, you can't touch the mantle either, because the mantle is 300. And this is angled, and this is angled, even though this is not a lot of armor, this is extremely angled. I mean, we're talking majorly angled. Look at that. How are you going to get a clear shot, solid shot at this? Unless you're going up over a hill and they hit your underbelly as you're about to peek over the hill, they've got you. That's the 120 millimeter armor. They're going right through. It's going right through. It's not going to ricochet. It's going to go right through. So be careful with this tank. Be careful when you're going up over hills. Try to stay on level ground at all times. Now don't forget, you do not want to go down either, because if you're going down a hill, you're having to deal with weak armor here, weak armor here, weak armor here. I mean, weak armor, very weak armor over here. Granted, this is okay. That's okay. That's good. That's small. That's okay. That's horrific. That's not even, that's horrible. That's 55. That's glass. That's not even armor. That's glass. That's not, again, that's not armor. That's glass. That's glass. That's just sheet metal. That's glass. That's glass. That's light armor. That's light armor. That is some seriously thick armor. This is the strongest armor in the tank. Why? Because it's dual layered. You have 240, 210 over here, and 120 over here. That leads to a grand total of 305. There's armor here, and there's armor behind it. So they have dual layered armor. So you want, the idea of the tier 11s, you want to stay hull down at all times. That's my idea. Angle the lower hull, but stay hull down at all times. If you can't stay hull down, angle your armor. Make sure all the shots are angled, because you want shots to ricochet off of this and this, and you want this angle so shots can ricochet off the side as well, and let them hit this head on, because they're not going to hit anything. And if they hit this, they're not going to damage anything. They're going to kill the crew, but that's it. So this is going to be their own. This and this are going to be their only hit. If they do that, they're going to hit the crew. That's it. They're not going to hit any vital spots, only the crew. Vital spots are here, 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 and the roof, which only artillery can hit. The most vital spot in this tank is the rear. Is the engine and the fuel tank, which is pretty much right in the back. Which is where it should be, to be honest with you. The Soviet Union made the biggest mistake of their life by putting fuel tanks in barrels right here, next to the engine. So the fuel explodes, blows the engine sky high, and the whole tank explodes. Fucking morons. At least the tank fuel's at least in the back. They at least put the fuel in the back of the engine, so that this way, they're not, if they get behind you and they shoot you from behind, you're dead anyway because the engine's right there. They have to put the fuel back there. But I guess in the earlier days, they just used barrels. They just put barrels on the sides. And they figured, who cares? Honestly, it does make a big difference. It does. It makes a very distinct difference. Because your fuel is extremely volatile. And where you put your fuel makes a big difference. For example, the Churchill 3. The Churchill is primarily a British-born tank. But it was lend-leased to the Soviet Union during the World War. The reason why is because the KV was not, at the time, the KV was not truly fully developed yet. Soviet Union was using the T-34 primarily. That was the main battle tank. T-34 was a very small medium. Actually, I have the reenactment version of that tank. I can show you guys. Actually, I'll show you guys that. That is one of the coolest tanks I've ever seen in this game. That tank you cannot get that tank anywhere. It's impossible to find that tank anywhere. Trust me. This tank is so rare. It's extremely hard to find. This is the rarest tank in the game. Actually, not the rarest tank in the game. It's the rarest tank in this country. I believe every country has one tank that's a reenactment. And I think the American version is the M4 Sherman. I believe the M4 Sherman has, it says M4 Sherman and it has the date next to it. The date the tank was first released to the public, which is in T-34's case was 1941. 1941 was the date the T-34 was first released to the general public and to the Army. So the KV was released later on in the World War. I think late in World War. I think it was maybe mid to late World War II. I'd say the KV was released about mid World War II, roughly was the KV. I'd like to say mid World War II, maybe. I don't know. Here's another Lend-Lease tank. This is an American M4 Sherman tank. Okay? It was Lend-Leased to the Soviet Union. Lend-Lease was a nice way of saying, we're going to lend you this tank. Okay? We're going to lease it to you. You're going to return this tank to us, and it's going to work. Okay? If you don't return it the way we gave it to you, you're going to have to pay for it. They helped them because at the time they were still trying to get more T-34s out. Soviet Union was having trouble getting building the KV, developing the KV. So they weren't pounding out as many T-34s at the time during the war. So they were caught between a rock and a hard place. So the British allowed them to Lend-Lease the Churchill tank, the Matilda, and the Valentine, and the Americans allowed them to Lend-Lease the M4 Shermans, which was obviously we're seeing right here. This was the M4A2 variant of the M4 Sherman that was used by the Soviet Union during World War II. And its commander was that man right, well, that man right there. Dead serious. That was the commander of this particular tank right here. That was the commander of that tank. When I got this tank, it came with that commander. And I read up on it, and that was the same commander that was in that same tank. Same number on the side. You could tell this is an American tank because it's written on the sides. Soviet tanks don't have this. They're not written on the sides. So, of course, I had to add something to that. Again, you can also tell it's an American tank because they have fuel, they have spare fuel in the back, and fuel tank in the rear. Just right there. That's the fuel tank. That's the exhaust fumes right here. There's the engine. Everything is in the back of the tank. American tanks, the Sherman tank was one of the best designed tanks from the war. The reason why is because everything that's important to the tank is all in the back of the tank. Engine, fuel, ammo storage. Ammo storage was always on the back of the turret and inside the walls here and here, and I'm guessing on the firewall for the engine. So I'm guessing on the firewall as well under the turret. Wherever they could throw ammo, they did. They tried. So because with manual, it wasn't cartridges. It wasn't cartridge loaded like autoloaders have. Autoloaders have cartridges. You have to load the shells into the cartridges. Now Soviet Union made a big mistake. Soviet Union had cartridge stored in their autoloaders. An example of that would be one of their very first autoloaders. And I will show you one of their very first autoloaders. This was one of their very first autoloaders. KV-1SA. A for autoloader. KV-1S had a turret that was this big. KV-1SA has a turret 3 times longer. KV-1S turret ends right here. KV-1SA turret ends all the way back here. In fact, the turret's so big it covers the engine. It even covers the engine exhaust. The exhaust is right there. So that's how big this turret is. This turret is gigantic. So all the cartridges, the ammunition, all the ammo storage was right here. But there was ammo stored inside the cartridges. So Soviet Union had to simply open up the ammo storage, pick up a cartridge, load it into the gun, close the ammo storage, flick a switch, let the gunner know his new cartridge is in, fire, and then that was it. Good idea and thought, but they made a mistake. See that? That's called the loading bay. they open up these two doors here. Simple, two simple doors, not armored at all, okay? No armor on those doors, period. Now there's hundreds and thousands of rounds behind those two doors. Those doors are not armored. Think of it this way. Let's say you pop, let's say you pop 4 armor-piercing rounds into those two doors. What's gonna happen? Every single cartridge in that turret is gonna explode. The entire turret is gonna fly off in one big blaze of glory. The entire tank is gonna go up in flames. Hence the reason why the T-90s, why the turrets blow off. Because all the ammo is stored in the turret instead of in the tank where it should be. They're supposed to armor the tank so well, armor the whole hull so well you can't hit it, and have very little armor on the top to reduce the weight. So if they kill the gunner and the loader, it won't hit any of the vital components below. But see, the Soviet Union and the Russians even today don't think like that. The Russians today make the biggest mistake of their life. For example, let's try to pick a tank. Looks like a T-90. I don't think as far as I know, the grandfather of the T-90 would have to be the T-60 and the T-80. I don't think the T-60 or the T-80 even existed yet. I think they were made during the Cold War. So, let's see. I have to see. T-150, no. As far as I know, I think the T-60 should have been like right here. If they're going to make a Tier 11, it should be the T-60. But they didn't, because the T-60 does not have all the bullshit that this one has. These Tier 11s are not real to life. These Tier 11s are complete video game bullshit. That's all they are. They are for fun. There's nothing realistic about either one of these tanks. But again, it's a game. Who cares? It's a video game. What matters is that these are realistic. Anything beyond the Tier 10 range, anything beyond the Tier 9 range, anything Tier 9 and below has to be period accurate. I don't care what anybody tells you, anybody tells me. Anything Tier 9 or lower has to be period accurate. If it's not, I call bullshit. And everything Tier 9 and below in every single country is period accurate. Even the freaking TOG. For the love of God, the real life TOG is that big and it is that slow. The real life TOG looks exactly like that, and it still moves to this day. It's still that goddamn slow. For real. Every single tank in this game they nailed, immediately got it right. Every single tank of this game they nailed. If they said it was real, Trust me, it was real. The TOG was real. The TOG was made in real life, and it existed in real life. It still exists in real life. The Tank Museum has it. A lot of these tanks were made. Some of these tanks are only in blueprints. Some of these never made it to blueprint. They were just drawings on napkins and shit like that. Some of them were ideas that people came up with and said, maybe we should do this to this tank. Maybe this might work. I'm not sure about that. Some of these were just ideas. Ideas, so to speak. Some were meant to be ideas. Some were meant to be a lot more than that. Some were meant to be reality. And some, they wanted to make reality. They tried to make reality. They almost got there. They eventually started making one tank. One country, they started making 2 tanks. Identical tanks. And they wanted to make they wanted to make them look the same, but they wanted them to function differently. Now, the purpose of one is supposed to be a lot different from the second one. That would be the Maus and the E100. Now, you talk about the Tank Museum. The Tank Museum has the hull of a Maus, but has the turret of an E100. But the gun on the E100 turret belongs to the Maus. So that tank is the tank museum has is not 100% accurate because the tank was never finished. They started building the E100 and the Maus at the same exact time. Started building the 2 of them side by side. They built the top. They built one of them from the top down, the other one from the bottom up. And that's what they did. So they made the hull, made the gun and the hull on one, and made the turret on the other. So the Tank Museum took the turret from one and the hull from another and just called it the Maus. Although they called it the 100. I don't know which one they have. They called it that. They called it whatever the hell they wanted to call it. Because in reality, neither tank existed. Neither tank was fully built. Neither tank ran. The Tank Museum's version, I believe they're trying to get it to run, but how? There was no engine made for it. They don't know. They have no idea how to power that thing. It's so heavy. They don't know if they could even muster up an engine big enough to even power that thing. Granted, the game actually mentions an engine, but the engine could be bullshit because the real Maus and the real E100 turret that's in the Tank Museum is an empty shell. There's nothing in it. Absolutely nothing in it. Because the Germans only built an empty shell. They never built the parts in it. They never actually got the opportunity to put anything in either of the pieces. In fact, the turret didn't even have a gun. I'm not even sure that the gun that's on the one in the Tank Museum is the right gun. I'm absolutely positive that they just jacked whatever gun they could get their hands on and slapped it, the biggest one they could find, on that tank and said, that's a tank. Because in real life, in absolute real life, the hull on one tank was made, and the turret was made on the other. They never actually finished or completed either one of them. Both of them were incomplete tanks. The Tank Museum took the incomplete parts and jerry-rigged their own parts and made it fit. And called it one or the other. I don't know what they called it. It's either the Mouse or the E100. My guess, they probably would call it an E100. I don't know why they called it the Mouse, but I guess they have their purpose. They have their reasons, I guess. I don't know any details. If I do know, I will touch base with you guys in the future. If I do find out more information. I do have to find out more information about the German tanks. I don't really know much about them. I am very curious because I've heard a lot about stuff that was planned in the German army and never got built. For example, they had a super heavy. This is super heavy. We're talking massive. Let me see if we can find. Well, I got you guys here. Well, we're 3 hours in. Maybe I'll save that for next time. I'll do my research. I'll save it for next time. Maybe I will do a video on that next time. I'll do my research. I'll do a video on that. They had blueprints. The Germans had blueprints to make a tank. It was not supposed to be a tank. It was supposed to be an armored vehicle. It was like a mobile artillery piece. That's really what it was. This mobile artillery piece was so big. It was supposed to have the turrets from the E100s all over the top of it. That's how big this thing was supposed to be. That one E100 turret was supposed to be a turret on it. A single turret that along the side of it. And we're going to have a bunch of those. That's how big this thing was supposed to be. Can we say, holy shit? That's insane. Can you imagine this massive size this thing is supposed to be? Now, what would be the reason to even have something that big? Well, you want to know something? The psychopathic maniacs actually started building the damn thing. they started building the damn thing. And you know who has the only piece that works? United States of America. I'm dead serious. That gigantic son of a bitch. It's huge. It's monstrous. United States has it. Okay, want me to explain? Do you guys remember when the first space shuttle launched? When the very first space shuttle launched, right? They brought it out to launch zone with that really slow thing on top of that really slow thing. NASA calls it a crawler. Guess what? That's the treads and the base of that tank. I'm dead serious. The Germans actually started making the goddamn thing. That thing was so huge. They actually started making the goddamn thing. NASA uses that to transport the space shuttle, for Christ's sake. The crawler that the space shuttle sits on top of, see that big platform with treads? That was supposed to be a German ultra heavy artillery base, mobile artillery base. Yeah, that was the German experimental tank that only got treads. Those dumb sons of bitches actually started building the goddamn thing, and they weren't even done with the. They were not even done with the Mouse E100. They were insane. They went on building sprees, building tanks and artillery pieces and stuff like that. Designing all kinds of stuff that they never finished. Never finished. Absolutely never finished it. I'm amazed. All the engineering that went into the German army. I'm absolutely amazed of all this engineering. And it's a shame that their dictator and their leader was such an a-hole. He really was. Hitler was such an a-hole. If he had just not done what he did, he would have been an absolute genius. His country would have been amazing. I mean, even right now, Germany's amazing. Some of the cars and some of the weapons that they make right now are absolutely insane. Some of their companies right now, the weapons they pound out are absolutely amazing. I think one of their manufacturers' name is Rheinmetall. Some of the stuff that they make is absolutely amazing. Never seen anything like that before in my entire life. I'm absolutely amazed. So, the amount of technology and ingenuity that comes out of that country has not changed at all. They still have some of the best minds in the business to this day. And they did back in World War II. And that tank right there, you can't see my finger because of the stupid background thing. That mouse right there, that's proof. Now, if you want to go see the non-working shell of E100 and a mouse, an empty shell of what they call the E100, you can go to the tank museum. And you can see it on display. They have it on display in the tank museum. I think it's in the UK. It's in Britain. And they have it indoors. And there's nothing in it. It doesn't move. There's absolutely nothing inside. It's just an empty shell with any random gun mounted on it. Because you have to understand, it only had the hull and the turret. And the turret was supposed to be for one tank, and the hull was supposed to be for something else. So what they deduced is that the hull was supposed to be for the MAUs, and the turret was supposed to be for the E-100. And they started building them both at the same time because they didn't like the way I think they put the E-100 turret on the MAUs initially. Started thinking that's the way they wanted it. I have a funny feeling that that's not the way they wanted it. I have a funny feeling they wanted something different. So, what they did was, I think that's why they have the E-100 in the MAUs. That's mainly why I think the E-100 and the MAUs exist together. Because I really honestly don't think they liked what they built. I don't think they liked this. I think they started thinking about building this, and something about it they didn't like. So eventually they scrapped it and came up with the MAUs. But they built one piece. They built either the turret or the hull. They built one piece of this tank and decided, nope, not gonna happen. I don't like it. Take it back. So they went back to the drawing board, and I think they built this. And I think what happened was, I think it was a turret. I think the turret was brought back, was extended just a little bit. Turret was extended just a little bit, was reworked slightly. And even though what the tank museum has was the E-100 turret, it was still rebuilt to fit the MAUs, which is one of the reasons why it took them so long to build this tank, because they started building the E-100 and realized, I don't like it. I want this. That's why they have E-100 in the MAUs. Because the E-100 was supposed to be the first prototype. Get it? E-100, experimental 100. And the MAUs is just a mouse. There's no E, there's no number. For example, Soviet Union. Object. Object means experimental. If it was made, it would say IS KV, or T. In the Soviet Union, they had either SU, ISU, IS, ST, KV, or simple, just the T. Just the letter T. That's it. Of course, they have A. They use A in front of the numbers as well. Anything that has a letter or a handful of letters and then some numbers were tanks that were created. Anything that says object in front of it was never made. It was just in blueprints. That's according to the game. According to real life, anything that says object for the Soviet Union was never created. They never made it. Now, the IS-7, I believe, yes, IS-7 was created. The trials, they started running trials in the spring of 1945. The prototypes they had underwent trials in 1946, 1947. However, IS-7 never saw mass production. They never made it because the war was over. Why make a tank that big when the war's over? They don't need to spend the money. Boy, can they learn their lesson. Boy, can they seriously learn their lesson. The reason why all these tanks are manufactured because they were needed for the war effort. The tanks that they made were not good enough. As the war progressed, as the war changed, the tank had to change according to the war. Tank got bigger with bigger guns, got slower because of the armor, bigger tracks, and bigger engines, and eventually turned into monsters like this, but eventually never saw production. IS-7 was only a prototype, and that was it. Apparently, a prototype was made, manufactured, and tested, but they never actually made it. This one was developed in 1943. 1944, two prototypes called Object 701 were built. After the prototype trials, design was improved. In late 1944, early 1945, after World War II, two more prototypes went into trials. Object 701, number 5, was recommended for the adoption into service. However, production was called off in favor of the IS-3. Just entering mass production. After production was suspended in 1945, production of the IS-4 began, continuing until 1949. A total of 25 IS-4M tanks were built in 1951. All previously produced tanks were modernized to level of IS-4M. M means modern. Some people say M is for mobility. M means when they put M next to it, like T-34M, that means modern. That means it was modernized. Armor was made thicker. A bigger and better gun was placed in it. Here's the interesting part. This says here, they're stationed in the Far East. Far East. Think. The Far East meaning by China. Yes, Russia still has tanks in the Far East. Because Ukraine is absolutely butchering their fuel storage, they cannot get their tanks from the Far East to the front lines. Trucks and trains are not available because no fuel for the trucks and trains. There's no fuel for the trucks and trains to deliver back and forth. Ukraine has suspended all truck and train and planes. Period. They have grounded the entire country of Russia. They totally grounded the entire country. Because of that, according to this, there still might be a few of these tanks still sitting in the Far East somewhere in a storage yard, sitting in a lonely, dusty old storage yard, rotting away from hell, looking like crap, probably not working anymore. These gigantic monsters are probably still sitting there in the Far East, on one of those Far East storage yards. So this could exist. This tank in reality could still exist. Think about this. If they say Far East meaning all the way by China, which means that they have tank storage in China. Now, current Russia, has not even touched the Far East storage yet. He can't get to it. Why? Ukraine destroying everything he has that has to do with fuel. He can't reach the Far East storage. He can't. Trains can't even get Far East. Anybody who's Far East is on their own. They have no way of getting to far. They have no way of getting to the west at all. No, they can't get there by car. If they go there by horse, it'll take them forever. Even if they still had these tanks in the Far East storage in Russia right now, there's no way they can get them to the front lines and get them working. Because A, they've been sitting there for too long. B, they're probably cannibalized by now. And C, they don't have fuel. They don't have fuel for the tanks. These tanks probably have engines that are like Who the hell knows? 850. It's got a V12. The amount of fuel that thing probably takes is insane. Granted, the Mouse is probably like 1200 horsepower. I think the M1 Abrams is 950. I think the Abrams, the original Abrams, is 950. Don't quote me, but I think the original M1 Abrams was 950. So this being 850, this is a super heavy. This is not a heavy tank. M1 Abrams is classified as a medium tank. That's what its classification is. Because it's very lightweight. It has a very large hull. But it uses very lightweight materials, and so it's able to move very swiftly. So it's classified as a medium tank. The T90 is also classified as a medium tank. But the T90 does not have modern materials like the Abrams does. Abrams is using all modern materials on it. The Abrams has hidden explosive reactive armor on it. The Russians have explosive reactive armor plates. Not armor itself. Armor plates. Which means they just put, in other words, they glue squares of the explosive reactive armor on it. All the enemy has to do is aim in between the plates. So that means they have to take their time, aim carefully. They can't just point, shoot, and kill. That's what the Ukrainians are doing. Careful calculations are done with these drones that they're doing. Aiming very carefully in between those plates, and then the whole turret goes flying. The Ukrainian army, they're brilliant. I have to give it to them. They're absolutely brilliant. The fact that they were able to figure this out while under pressure is insane. I have to give them a lot of credit. It takes a lot of balls to do something like this. And the fact of the matter is, on day one, that dumb son of a bitch had this tank stored in the Far East. This tank is still sitting in the Far East. Even if it's only one, this tank is still sitting in the Far East. Somewhere buried in storage. And nobody even knows about it. Why? Because who's going to look in the Far East? Who even cares? The Far East was supposed to protect against China attacking. And now they know China's not going to do that. So, because China's their friend. So, that should have been his red flag to pull all the tanks from the Far East to the front lines. Can't do that. He's out of fuel. So all the tanks that all his tanks that are located in the Far East are going to stay in the Far East, and none of them are hitting front lines. So he's desperately pulling all the tanks out of the museums now. He has the old tanks from the museums. He's pulling everything out of museums in Moscow and immediately sending them to the front lines. All these old dinosaurs from World War II are being sent to the front lines with garbage on top of them and calling them cope cages. So T-34s from World War II are being sent to the front lines in Ukraine with cope cages on top of them. They're out of their fucking minds. Yes, they are. They're desperate. They got nothing left. All of their storage yards are empty. Every single goddamn one of them. If you look at satellite images, all their storage yards are either tanks that are destroyed or tanks that are dying in need of repair. There's not one working tank or one tank in good shape in any of those yards. And half of them, and about 80% of those are completely empty. They emptied out all their storage on the west side. On the east, on the western half of Russia is all gone. Now, eastern half of Russia, they haven't touched. All those tanks on the eastern half of Russia are untouched. But they will never be able to touch them because they don't have enough fuel. Hence the reason why Ukraine is not giving them 1 inch. Ukraine is tearing the fuel apart. So if they have no fuel, they're never going to be able to get to their spare tanks in the east. They can no longer transport their spare. They can no longer transport tanks from other storage yards. If they kill their fuel, they no longer have the facilities to transfer tanks from storage yards to the main area. They no longer have the facilities to do so. So they're up shit's creek without power, basically. Interesting little chit chat. We sort of went off on a little small tangent. But that was Video Game Strategies with World of Tanks 2.0, Part 2. And we basically went over whatever we didn't go over in part 1. So basically went over some fluff, some details, some more stuff we didn't go over, some little stuff, you know, like where the ammo is in some of the tanks. Zoom in, you can find out. That's where the ammo, these are blast doors for the ammo storage. Again, bad idea. Blast doors, fireballs come flying out. Fuel tanks, hello! Fireball, engage. Engines right here, fuel tanks right here. Houston, we have a problem. But they added blast doors on the ammo storage. Yay! The crew is safe. The tank's not. That's Russian engineering for you. And you wonder why the T-90s turrets used to fly off. Now you know why, because the Soviet Union was absolutely out of their mind. They put blast doors to protect the ammo storage from killing the crew. Meanwhile, the blast will cook off the fuel tanks and blow up and take the engine with it. And the whole tank will go up. So everybody's gonna die. Instead of just killing the gunner and the loader, they're killing the whole goddamn tank. I know. Breathe. You have to really breathe because this is all idiocy. This is all idiotic tendencies. These tanks were not built for war. These tanks were built because they were morons. Soviet Union and Russia both, they do not know how to build tanks. They do not know how to design tanks. They don't know anything about building tanks. They just build something that looks like a tank, have it go boom boom, have something fly out of it. If it kills something, if it hits something, fine. If not, they don't give a crap. Okay then. I mean, think of it. They're putting their fuel tanks in drums along the side. What's wrong with this picture? Hello. These things cry. Hit me. Please, dear God, hit me. Hey guys, check this out. Ready for this? Ammo is right here. All you have to do is hit one fuel tank. It explodes. It cooks off the ammo. Ammo explodes. Ammo explodes right out the back. That cooks off the rest of the tanks. The rest of the tanks explode. All that explosion sets the engine off, and the engine explodes, blows the turret clear off the tank. The whole crew is dead. All because the retarded morons decided to put ammo storage in the turret with fuel tanks right next to it. That's called engineering disasters. They obviously have, Russia and Soviet Union obviously have no engineers. That's why everything they build sucks. All their tanks suck. Everything. That's the reason why I'm grinding these tanks to hell. Because I've been spending 13 years grinding these tanks and they suck. They're horrible. I've been trying to prove a point. Half the people that play this game play United States. And half of them are already done with it. Half of them have been starting earlier than me. And half of them are already done with the entire country by now. Why? Because the tanks are really good. Because the United States really built some very good tanks. The M4 Sherman has to be the most popular tank out of all. Of course, don't forget about the Easy-8. Of course, the Easy-8 was probably one of the most... Well, Sherman was the most popular tank, but the Easy-8 was second. So, it was a very close second. But in World War II, this tank was top of the list. This tank was number one tank. Out of all the tanks in World War II, this tank got top billings. What they used to do with this tank was on the front of the tank, they used to have mounted right here, they used to weld two pieces of steel coming out here. Okay? come all the way out to here, and he's have a pole in the middle of it. And they had chains hanging right there. And when they came out for Normandy, the first tanks to launch out on Normandy invasion were the M4 Shermans with those chains. And they dragged them out. They would pilot them out, and they would create a path. And those chains would set off the landmines. And that would create a path. All the rest of the tanks, everything that came off that skiff would follow that one Sherman, would follow that Sherman's tracks to the letter, just to make sure they didn't hit a landmine. Whatever tracks that Sherman made, they would follow its tracks exactly, because they knew that that area was clear of landmines, because that tank was able to clear the landmines. Britain also made a tank that cleared landmines as well. Britain also made a tank that cleared bunkers. It also made a bunker buster as well. They used a Churchill tank and did the same thing with a Churchill tank. They put the chains in front of it, the two brackets. What they also did was they made a tank called the Churchill Crocodile. Now, they've had that tank in World of Tanks. What they didn't do was they didn't show it the way it really was. The Churchill Crocodile did not have a real gun. It had a flamethrower. And where the ammo storage is supposed to be, it stored liquid fuel. And at the tip of the gun was an electronic igniter. So when they were ready, they used to spit gasoline out of the gun at very high velocities and ignite with that igniter and ignite all that fuel and throw fuel through the bunker holes and send all those men running out of the bunkers. So the Churchill Crocodiles were made to clear the bunkers. That was their job. The Churchill Crocodiles, their main duty, their only job was to clear out those bunkers. They used to have flamethrowers attached, huge flamethrowers attached to the tanks. And some of the Churchill Crocodiles even had the chains attached to the front to get rid of the landmines as well. You see, they had so many Churchill tanks that they end up using them instead of medium tanks like Americans did. The Americans used Shermans because they made so goddamn many of them. See, Americans had heavy tanks, but they never used them because they didn't have enough of them. So they also didn't have enough lights and tank destroyers. But those M4 Shermans, they made hundreds and thousands of those goddamn things. They made so much of those things that they brought only that to Normandy, and that's it. They brought those. And they some of them they equipped with flotation devices, so they're able to float over. They were able to if they had it on a boat launch that was not able to get to the shore, they equipped flotation devices to the Sherman, and they floated the Sherman the propeller in the back. They floated it to the shore. They did that with the Shermans also. They did so much to these tanks. It's insane. They needed a way. They found a way to get there to help them. We found a way to get there to help them. We made sure that these Shermans did everything. We made sure that these Shermans were not durable. They're fast as hell, and we made sure that they could hit hard. And that's it. That's all they had to do. Hit hard and be fast as hell. They don't have to have a ton of armor. They do have to be fast. If they're fast enough, probably not get shot. Maybe. If you're lucky, you wouldn't get shot. If you get shot, you're as good as dead. Because the armor, my guess is the armor on these things are not really all that good. I mean, its gun, standard one, the gun sucks. But the improved guns are a lot better. I mean, a 75mm gun versus a 105mm gun, big difference, guys. Big difference. We're talking huge difference. So, how do you fit a 105mm gun on a turret like that? You don't. You need a new turret for that. Hence, this is the M4A1. Now, this is the original M4 Sherman. This is the M4A1 Sherman. Turret, okay? Now they had different, they always have different types of tanks, the Americans. They have the standard one, and they have one with extra mobility, one with extra armor. They usually have designations. They have like M4, M4A1, M4A2, M4A3, M4A4. They have tiers. So the original Abrams is not as good as the newer one. The newer one has much better survivability stats, much better firearms, much better armament, much better loading capacities, much better a lot of stuff. Because they made improvements where they found weaknesses. That's what the Americans do. They take one thing and they improve on it. Well, the Soviet Union did that as well. And they did that with the T-34. See, the Soviet Union made a lot of mistakes because they made too many tanks. See? They built a tank, it sucks. They built another one. But the one thing they got right was the T-34, and they got that right. So what did they do? T-34-85, same tank, different designation, improved it, made it better. They loved it, used it for years. What'd they do? Changed it. Didn't keep it a T-34, they made it a T-43, then a T-44, then a T-54, then an Object 430. Then they had a completely different idea, a completely different direction they were going to go. They ended up not going with that direction, they kept going this direction instead, and they came T-54, and eventually they made the T-80, T-60, T-80, T-90, And this, the T90, this is his great grandfather. Right here. That's the T90's great grandfather. Right there. The T90 is not a heavy tank. The T90 is a medium tank. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. I'm not lying to you. The T90 is a medium tank. The T90's great grandfather is this tank right here. That's the T90's great grandfather. The Russians are marching medium tanks down the battlefield like they're heavy tanks. Meanwhile, they're not heavy tanks. They're medium tanks. And that's the reason why they're so fast. Their clock speed is technically, I don't think it's as fast as the Abrams, because Abrams has an engine that's 3 times its size. And it's 3 times the horsepower. But still, I mean, the T90 is wicked fast. Why? Because it's not a heavy tank. It's a medium. Abrams is a heavy tank. Was it like 18 tons? I think the Abrams is. I'd say that's a heavy. T90 is not a heavy tank. That is a medium. It's a little on the chunky side, but it still classifies as a medium. Why? Because this is his great grandfather, and this is a medium. So, in reality, they made a heavy tank that they could have used in the battle with Ukraine. They actually manufactured the IS-7. They actually have 2 IS-7s out east. But they cannot reach them. Why? Because Ukraine has completely destroyed their fuel storage. So any tanks they have sitting out east, they cannot touch them. Untouched. I hope you guys learned something, because I had fun teaching you guys something. I had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys did too. Hope you guys learned something as well. It's my pleasure. See you guys later. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what you enjoyed about this, what you think you'd like to see next about this game. Would you like to learn more about the history, or would you like to learn more about the tanks itself? Would you like to learn more about gameplay? What would you like to learn more about? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to set it up for you guys. Next week, I'm going to try to touch base on other games a little bit more. I'm working on trying to get new games. But because I'm not making any money off this channel, I have to stick with only free games. So I have to try and look for free games that might be interesting to play for the channel that does not involve mates. There's a lot of games on Steam that are free that require you to have at least 3 or 4 people with you. And I don't have anybody. All I have is me. So I can't really do anything. So I'm basically stuck. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. So a lot of these games require multiple people to play with you. I don't have that. I have me. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please comment down below when you get the chance. Thank you very much for watching. Have a very nice day, guys.